Welcome to Montreal Rocks. And today we're very excited because we have Ryan Williams with us from a band, New Monarchs. Now, this is a band that's still in its infancy, but is making quite some waves. And we've already featured them in our New Music Friday. So, Ryan, so glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
We
Glad to
already
be here.
have you already have a rich history of musical experience, but I always like to go back to the origin story. I want to know who Ryan is. Like,
Okay.
where did this musical genius start from?
I'll
So
take that. That's okay.
there's probably a time when you were like flipping through your parents' album collection or CDs, because you're a little younger than me. But was there a song or a particular band that hit you differently that just made you go like, "Oh, this is my music. This is not no longer my parents' music."
Yeah. I mean, look, I grew up in my mom was a huge Beatles fan. My uncle owned a music store, so that was always around and I loved it and I still do. But I had I had gotten a copy of Pearl Jam 10 on a CD player, for a CD, right? But I did not have a CD player. So a friend of mine who wanted that CD, who had a CD player, traded me a tape I'd never heard of called Master of Puppets by Metallica. And I'll never forget that I think I spent an entire summer just wearing that tape out in my room. I think I was 8 or 9 years old, and I remember thinking this is for me for sure. So Metallica was the first one.
Almost Pearl Jam, but you got saved by Metallica.
Saved by Metallica, yeah, Metallica, Green Day. When Dookie came out, that was a big record for me, definitely.
Now, of course, uh, I want to talk about 2015. Your
Okay.
That's another origin story. So the specifically the band kind of started back then just because of you touring with the other bands all meeting together. Can you tell us more about kind of that
Oh yeah,
beginning
okay.
of this that synergy?
You're talking about, so yeah, New Monarch. Well, okay, so my old band Red Sun Rising, we were set out on our second tour post recording the record, and we'd still not released any music. So we were just the new guys traveling in the beat up van in July, and the South with no AC. And but luckily we were touring with Nothing More in Wilson. We were opening for all those guys. And now the rhythm section of New Monarch are Matt Pooey, drummer from Wilson, and James Lascu, bass. And yeah, we hit it off. I mean, we were all grinding together, splitting hotel rooms to get showers. And I think we were learning from them more than anything. Those guys were road dogs. And we stayed in touch ever since, especially James and myself. So we always had a good working relationship with Wilson, because Red Sun Rising, for at least the first 3 years, I mean, all we did was tour, and those guys were out there too. Not more, maybe more than we are. Maybe the only band I think that I heard of that had more shows than us this one year. So it was good. They're great guys, killer musicians. We like to watch each other play.
And I think those were wild times, if I heard correctly. But you guys are all a little bit older, a little bit wiser.
Uh-huh.
You've kind of
Yeah, you're little.
able to like kind of rein that all in. I believe there's even some. I think Matt is sober. I think you are too, if I'm not mistaken.
I am, yeah. Matt, yeah, I mean, kind of. I don't know that he's addressed it like his sobriety the way that I have, where I'm pretty open about it. I've been through treatment, and it was something I really needed to nip in the bud. But he just has a lot of restraint, I would say. I've never, uh, I've never really, not since back then, have I really seen him get crazy or party or anything like that.
One thing, when you take something away, like I mean, alcohol does fill this void, a space. When you take something away, something else replaces it. What is the benefit that you feel from taking that out of your life? How does it benefited you personally?
Well, the taking it away part doesn't help as much as the dealing with why you needed it in the first place. Like that thing that you're talking about filling, that's something that's got to be dealt with, right? And that's kind of what I learned. I mean, I did a lot of touring too, where we didn't party. We were a party band. We partied a lot, right? And I knew at some point that I was going down a wrong path, and I needed to take another turn. And so I had to go deal with me. But I would say what I've replaced with, and this took time too. This wasn't instant. Was I sort of, I don't know. I have all these crazy hobbies now. Like I'm kind of addicted to what I would call like growth in a way. I have like I got into fighting. I'm way more passionate about the recording and mixing aspect of music than I ever was. I used to, record ideas on my cell phone. Now I have a studio in my house. Video editing. I play chess for hours if I get a break at night, like late. I'll get on my phone and I'm hooked. I don't know. I think the replacement, if you do it right, can be things that you find passion in that aren't destructive for your life.
Yeah.
So those are mine.
I think taking care of
Fatherhood.
yourself and going on that journey is also very good. As you're having a new journey with this band, I mean, one thing I like about the word monarch is it has multiple meanings. It could either
Right.
be a butterfly, which represents this metamorphosis into something new,
Mhm.
or it could be the head of a state, which is there for life until you either get killed or overthrown.
Right.
Which do you identify more with this new band, the new Monarchs? Are you more like a butterfly
Depends
transforming
on
to something new, or are you really like going to be the kings of the castle there for a while till you get
Depends on who
dethroned?
you ask. It's funny. We actually talk about this. I know Sebastian, our singer, far prefers like kind of the monarchy aspect of the name, right? And he says with his southern twang to me every once in a while, I was like, I'm not really into the butterfly thing. But I see it. I took it more in the butterfly direction because I saw this as kind of a rebirth for me, like how we approach doing this, how we function together, how we write together, and how great I think the music is. And it's also led me down this path of like new relationships, but also rekindling old ones that I had in my last band, which has been great. But so I'm more of the butterfly guy. So I'd say Sebastian's more the monarch, new monarchy. The new king is in the castle.
It's okay because it's subjective, so it can be whatever you feel it needs
Right.
to be. Now you already got 3 songs out. You got the Fray,
Right.
Pearls, and
Mm-hmm.
now The Day You Left. Uh, Tell us a little bit about those 3 songs. Why were they chosen? Let's start with the Fray. That's the first one I believe that came out.
Yeah. The Fray was actually one of the things that I had sent out to kind of put this band together. I sent it to James to see if he liked it. We connected. And when Sebastian auditioned, I sent him my originals to see if it was anything he thought he could work on. The craziest thing about that song is so the band came together for the first time and we just gelled. We wrote Pearls that day. We wrote The Fray that day. But as far as like the lyrics and the vocals, it was something Sebastian and I teamed up on as we always do. But the one crazy thing that happened, I've never seen anything like this before, was he didn't have really any lyrics ready. And he came into my house and the first night he flew in we did it online. This is COVID, right? So
Yeah.
we flew him in from a Zoom audition. Um, and the first night, I don't know if he was a little jet lagged or nervous, but we came back into the studio and we fired up a different song that I kind of had ready for him. And it was like, we weren't connecting, right? And I went to bed and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I just bought this guy. I don't even know a plane ticket. He's at my house for a week. What are we going to do, right? The next morning we get up, we have some coffee, we come back in the studio, I turn The Fray on, right? And now James and I had sort of already constructed the music and we fired it up and in one take, he delivered the melody you hear now from head to toe, top to bottom. I've never seen anybody do it. He just sort of thought he had this sort of idea. He'd never really done it yet. And we kept it and built it from there. And it was crazy. And I think once Matt came in, we all gelled on it so quickly. I love that song. I still can't wait till the band's a little bigger to reintroduce that song to the world. But we just thought, what a good expression of what we are to lead with and say, hey, this is kind of what you're going to hear for the rest of the time this band's around.
And what a voice. It just matches the whole vibe perfectly.
I
I
love
know
it. Yeah.
I know he was very much influenced by Soundgarden and that
Mm-hmm.
90s grunge.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
sounds like a clean Soundgarden, not the grungy one, but like a rebirth of that voice. And then of course
I love
the
that.
package.
Yeah, that's a great compliment. I love that. We certainly, I pull from them. I mean, I think, art imitates art, right? I've
Yeah.
always tried to at least like Sometimes I'll have a part and I know it's my part. Sometimes you got to double check to make sure it's wasn't somebody else's. But a lot of times I could tell you, like, I could tell you what influence of mine may have inspired at least the beginning of a section of a part. And Soundgarden comes up for us a lot, and I know that that'll be a huge compliment to everybody in my band.
Then we got Pearls, and you know, while I was listening to it, I kept thinking this would sound amazing in an arena space, like that, the arena drums, that slower beat that would just kind of allows the sound to really reach the back rows and come back. Uh, Tell us a little bit about that song.
Pearls was the song. So Sebastian had showed up with the idea when this is the first day we were all together. So we brought Matt in on drums. We rented this little space here in Macedonia, Ohio, and the first day we wrote Pearls, the very, very first day. He had a lot of it ready, and then we sort of, did what we do. I don't think there's not a single song from this band that didn't come together without everybody's feel and touch, and the nuance that they bring to it. But we finished that day one, and I think that was almost the first thing we released. But the Fray was, so I wanted to come out up tempo. But I love Pearls, and you'd have to talk to Sebastian a little bit more about the meaning of the song. But I know it's a little bit about kind of leaving a place that you're comfortable with to go pursue your goals and your dreams, and maybe having to return in a manner that's like not how you want to be perceived, and you kind of deal with this idea of who you are and how much of other people's perception of you is wrapped up in all that. And I love that song. And again, another song that we released almost a year ago, but COVID put us in a weird spot. So as the band grows, I hope they discover it, and they seem to be now. On Spotify, it certainly went from here to here. So
I think, you're talking about that growth, and it's so important as a band. For myself, as I got older, I started to care less and less about what other people thought. And that allowed me to be better at whatever I do, because I'm no longer tied to trying to manage expectations that aren't really mine. And I find that's maybe what's going to happen in this new band. Like, you guys are all on this personal journey of growth, but as a band, you're all like, all I see on social media is you guys are meshing together. It's really like this tight little unit, and it's like a new family. But I think you're all on this journey together, and I think you want to have the right people on the bus, so to speak.
Absolutely. I think everybody's life experience has sort of led them to be in this band where we sort of needed that atmosphere. I think we needed an atmosphere where we all lift each other up, where we're brutally honest. We nip things in the bud right away. We don't let anything marinate for too long. I mean, it's not like we don't fight. Everybody fights, but there's just a lot more composed, honesty in this group, right? And there's something refreshing about that. And I'll tell you what, I think this is an evolution for me musically, especially because we have each other's backs. Most of these songs are long written before anybody gets to hear them, so we're always writing for us. So it's just a refreshing experience. And the way we had to do it during COVID was very limiting as well, because you'd have to kind of send the project to the next guy and say, okay, drums, this is kind of the idea, send it back, let's see what you got. And then they'll take it for a week. And that was a long, kind of grueling process that we're getting a lot better at, but it certainly made this music, I would say, I think it's original to us. It just, there's obviously influences from some of our favorite groups, but his voice, their rhythm section, my guitar parts, and all of our combined efforts as songwriters is something original. And I hope people like it and see it that way.
And of course, The Day You Left is the latest single, which deals a little bit more about heartbreak and all that baggage. But this is also a moment where you guys got a little bit harder in your sound. So kind of showing that, the more heavy guitars. Talk to us just a little bit about that one.
Yeah. So that was a song that was a song that I had started writing for the band. And I wrote it about this thing that I've always had, this weird series of dreams, and whenever I lose somebody in my life, somebody important to me that would pass away, occasionally I have dreams about them, and it usually comes when I'm down anyway. Like if I, everybody gets a little down, if I get a little depressed, and I'll have these dreams where we connect again, and it's really beautiful and like visceral and real. And then it sort of deteriorates, and they don't really look the same or appear the same. It's like that uncanny valley where they don't look like themselves. And I realize that I'm going back to a world without that person, right? And to me, I don't know why that happens, but it's so vivid. And it happened to me February 2 years ago, and I was really depressed and down, and I don't know. I felt like really drawn to my instrument again, which was nice. That doesn't always happen, and sometimes when you're a touring band, it doesn't happen at all for a while. Like you're so wrapped up in playing the same songs over and over and over again. The last thing you want when you go home is your instrument sometimes. And I grabbed it, and that's what the song was about. As far as the heavier aspect of the band, it gets heavier than that on the record. The influence of this band vary everywhere, and I think that we thought that was the next logical choice because we love the tune, but it showcased kind of what a three-piece version of the band with just Sebastian's vocal sounds like, and he tears a little guitar solo in it. But again, another expression of what to expect off of the record for sure.
What's next for the New Monarchs?
Well,
sorry, New Monarch. There's no S.
Yeah, I thought that was a cute nickname you gave us, the New Monarchs. So what's next for New Monarch is performance, which I can't talk too much about right this very moment, but I have some stuff in the works, and we're going to be booking out. The record is done, but it's not released. I'll probably release a few more songs, some behind the scenes stuff, and go out and get to know everybody again.
There's already two parts to the behind the scenes, part one and part two. Part two is just a couple of minutes ago. Actually, it seemed to be released. I was doing my research, and I kind of fell upon the Matt one, which was really funny.
Yeah, it was funny, right?
I had a question I prepared for Matt because I thought we were going to talk to Matt, but maybe I'll see how it fits you for size.
Okay.
And it's related to New Monarch, and I know that back in the day, Matt's favorite whiskey is Johnnie Walker. Now, Johnnie Walker has all these levels. You have Johnnie Walker Red, Black, Gold, Green, Platinum, and finally Blue.
Yeah.
So if the New Monarchs were a brand of Johnnie Walker whiskey, what label would you be? And just be careful, because if you're like the Blue, it might not be accessible to many people. So you have to be careful. You can't just say the top one.
Well, I'll tell you, in my drinking days, I did not like Johnnie Walker unless it was Blue. And I had a guy, my Peruvian friend, who has this high up job at Sugardale, and he would hook it up all the time. And so I had access to Johnnie Walker Blue. So I want to say Blue, but I don't know. That's a question for him. My answer is Blue, and I think it's because it's smooth, and you don't have to pay a ton for it because we got the hookup for you. It's called the internet. So look at that.
Exactly. So if you think about it, sometimes if you try to make music and try to please everyone, maybe become like a little bit of a Johnnie Walker Red, it gets diluted. But when you kind of do your best version of yourself, which according to you, New Monarch is Johnnie Walker Blue, the best version of yourself.
The best version.
You might have a narrower maybe reach, but that reach is going to be deeper and probably better tasting for everyone.
I like that. That was a great analogy. It's better than mine.
So let's end with the little game I like to play called Fantasy Rock Band. So I want to know. So here you are, Ryan. You have to create this fantasy rock band. You can use musicians that are alive or dead, and we need like a singer, guitarist, bassist, and drummer. Who would you choose and why?
You're gonna put me in a weird spot. Okay.
Can't be your own band.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that, so I didn't have to start it off like, guys, I would choose you first, but oh man. Man, so I get one singer, one bass player, one guitar player, and a drummer.
Yeah. You can add other instruments, but that's pretty much of a good size of rock band.
Okay. Give me, give me John Bonham on drums. I'll take Freddie Mercury on vocals. I will take David Gilmour on guitar, and I'll take Flea on bass.
Okay. Very interesting. So to me, this is the influence question without asking the boring question. So to me, this tells me that you're listening to a lot of that FM rock that I also grew up on and kind of opened my eyes to music, but yet you were influenced by Flea. So that'd be like that 90s aughts era where the alternative kind of came in. Is that pretty accurate? That's kind of some of the stuff that you listen to, or?
Definitely, yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a heavier answer to that question for sure. I was debating on Danny Carey from Tool and Maynard Keenan from Tool and Justin Chancellor. Well, just give me Tool. I'll just take Tool. That's my backup band. It's Tool. How about that?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Ryan. We really enjoyed talking to you, and we look forward to having New Monarch on tour, playing these songs live, which I'm sure is going to be a very receptive crowd. Everything I've hearing so far is extremely positive. So keep it up and keep on that journey. We look forward to seeing where it takes you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate your time. And stay in touch.